Bernie Sanders needs Indiana if he wants to boost that delegate count on Tuesday. Clinton does hold a commanding lead in the delegate race, is now just a few hundred shy of clinching the actual nomination. 83 delegates will be awarded in Indiana's Democratic primary on Tuesday. The state also has 9 of those unpledged super delegates, and we're told at least 7 of them are backing Clinton. Well, Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump says if he wins Indiana on Tuesday, the race for the GOP nomination is over. But that's not stopping Ted Cruz from trying to get as many delegates in his corner as he can in the hopes of a contested convention. Helping us to break down this delegate math is longtime GOP political activist and former chairman of GOPAC, Frank Donatelli. Good to see you today.
Hi, Shannon. How are you?
I'm good. Let me ask you, is there any way to sort of separate fact from fiction? What happens on this first ballot for all of the delegates as they walk in, some already committed to other candidates who are no longer running? What happens on that first ballot?
Well, first of all, most of the delegates are bound on the first ballot, according to state law and according to the party rules in individual states. So that takes care of the large majority of delegates.
But say somebody is committed to voting for, say, Rubio. Will that still happen on the first ballot, even though he's no longer running?
Right, unless he would release those delegates. I don't want to get too technical, but I think there are a couple of states where they might be able to move away from Rubio. But his delegate concentration is in a couple of states, and as long as he remains in the race and doesn't release his delegates, they will vote for him on the first ballot.
Okay, so from there, though, if Donald Trump doesn't go in with 1237, and he is now feeling increasingly confident, and the poll numbers for him look good in Indiana, if he doesn't lock it in and we get to that second ballot, how does that play out for him? Because he and his backers are going to have a very strong argument that he's the front runner, and you know that there will be backlash if they feel the rules are changed or manipulated in any way, that he doesn't end up getting the nomination if he's very close.
Right. Well, you know, I think of the movie Zero Dark 30. This is the movie to how they killed Osama bin Laden, and they're trying to convince the CIA director that they should conduct this raid on his compound and everything. And the director says, "So you're telling me this is the least bad alternative?" I think Republicans only have bad alternatives at this point. So you're correct. Donald Trump will be the nominee, and it'll probably be a split party, or he will be denied the nomination, and he may very well take a walk. But delegates have an option after the first ballot in most states that they aren't bound, so they can go in a variety of directions. They could vote for Cruz, or if they could get a petition together to put somebody else's name in nomination, they could vote for that person too. It's also important to know no delegates are bound on procedural votes. So on these important votes at the beginning of the convention to establish the rules and the platform and the credentials of delegates, those delegates can vote their conscience on all of those.
Okay, so there is a lot of technique to this. There are rules. You mentioned the procedural rules as well. You know, the Cruz campaign has studied this. They were ready for this, whether it ends up working for them or not. They certainly have been very good at maneuvering, much to the consternation of the Trump campaign on some of these delegates.
Right. So I would look forward, whether or not Mr. Trump gets to 1237, I would look for the Cruz people to put forward a series of procedural votes. Things on the platform, for example. Mr. Trump is at variance with Republican orthodoxy on lots and lots of issues. So I would look for Cruz to challenge him on some of those issues. And, you know, if Trump fights them and he loses, who knows what that'll do to the convention. There's also going to be credentials challenges to delegations on both sides. So there's a lot of landmines still ahead, even if Mr. Trump gets to the 1237 mark.
Okay. Well, and of course, Indiana will be big in that determination on Tuesday. Thank you for helping us to break this down a little bit, Frank. Good to see you.
Thanks very much.
Leland?